Morning. Hello, Arnold.
Morning, Helen. Morning, everyone.
How's it, Josh? Hi, Helen.
Hello, Eleanor.
Hi.
Good. Nice to see everyone.
Nice to see you too. I'm probably going to have a good look at me now because I'm probably going to turn my camera off as I'm driving to Kempton.
No problem.
Oh, just stay safe, okay?
Yeah.
Concentrate.
I'll try not to get too enamored and excited when I hear a good book, okay?
Yeah, our tribe is expanding. It's very cool.
Nice.
How's everyone doing?
Yeah, good on my side, thanks. Obviously, not loving all these stories and cases that are on the rise exponentially, but yeah, let's hope we get over it soon.
Yeah.
We cancelled our social event, which was supposed to be tonight, which we were all looking forward to.
An
Yeah,
EO
we're supposed to
event.
have Christmas bash tomorrow,
Yeah.
and I think we're cancelling it as well.
Yeah, the Cape Town one was supposed to be tonight, but last year we had a super spreader event, so we decided not to do it again.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Hello, Rich.
Hello. What's up, everybody?
How are you? You look like the most energetic of all of us this morning.
I'm in the middle of watching a Maple Leafs game against Colorado. So I got up early for it, and it's like 5 minutes to go in the end of the game, and it's an 8-2 lead by the Leafs. So I've spent most of the morning cheering and dancing.
Oh, wow. Go you.
Is that ice hockey?
Yeah. So I've
Oh,
like
wow.
basically never miss. The Leafs play, I think it's 75 games a season, and I don't miss any of them.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sure. So I have to drop off at 9. I've got to go and have cortisone injections. I've decided to Rich, this getting older business is not for the faint-hearted.
I have a cortisone injection every 6 months in my lower back. And it was funny, that post the other day asking for somebody for arthritis. I was like, oh, I could do with that as well. It's like, you're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy.
Well, I thought initially I had gout in my toes, and then to hear that I didn't have gout, I had some other thing, was quite relieving, because I thought of 75-year-old over drinking men get gout,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Hey,
So,
everyone.
hello, Eleanor.
Hey, Helen. How's it?
Nice to
with
see you.
everyone?
And there's B there. Hi.
Morning.
Nice to see everyone.
You too.
Rich, are you happy to kick off with best book of 2021?
yes.
So
Is
shall we
everyone-
go around? Should we do alphabetical?
Yeah, let's do that. That's a nice start. Arnold.
So Arnold, what was your best
Oh,
book
sure.
of 2021?
Okay, we did we have homework? I'm just trying to think
No,
what was
we just on the spot.
sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we
Looking
come
at
back to
the-
this in maybe we'll start off giving
Oh, you know
everyone
what?
time
No,
to think.
I've got
Okay.
it. I mean, because in terms of like life-changingness, definitely Why We Sleep, Unlocking the Power of Sleep and Dreams by Matthew Walker. That was by far the most influential. Oh, sheesh, no. And The Untethered Soul. I have to, no, it's a tie. The Untethered Soul and Why We Sleep.
Nice. Okay. So are you guys
Now.
happy to carry on, or should we come back to it?
Let's do it.
Happy to carry on. I think I'm next, Helen.
Yeah.
So for me, personal development book was Aubrey Marcus's Own Your Day, Own Your Life. Brilliant read. And then my fiction one was Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine.
Yeah.
So it was just two great reads.
Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine is a spectacular book. Amazing. Who's next?
Joss.
Um,
Oh, actually,
yes.
you.
Oh, yeah, H. Mine would be Project Hail Mary. I can't stop raving about that book. I just adored it. I know we've spoken about it before, but it was head and shoulders above, and also because it was a new genre for me. I hadn't read it before, like science fiction a lot before, so just unbelievable, and especially on Audible. I kind of mourned the characters.
Loved it.
Can't
Joss.
wait for the movie.
Josh?
Hi, yeah, I think so. Mine is The Storyteller's Secret. I really loved that book. It was one of the first books I read this year, and I was just trying to remember. It's by Sejal Badani, set in India. Really lovely, moving story. I love books that are based in sort of Asia and talks the history. Quite, I would say, it's a historical fiction story, which was really moving and super intriguing.
Cool.
Richard. Rich, it's you. You got me beat, bro. You're on mute.
Sorry. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Joss, what was the name of your book?
Storyteller's Secret.
Storyteller's.
The Storyteller's Secret.
Cool. So for me, I would say this year, non-fiction, I'd have to go with Untethered Soul as well, which I thought was like a fascinating book and such a cool lens to view the world through. It like really, really, really changed the way I view a lot of things. So from an influential perspective, definitely that. And from a fiction perspective, I'll probably go for A Gentleman in Moscow. It was so refreshing. Like, it was a recommendation from book club, and it was so refreshing, primarily also because it pushed me out of reading fantasy and science fiction, which is like my kind of go-to escapism. So it was, and for me, it's actually been by far the nicest thing about book club, is this kind of introduction to parallel, genres and stuff. And I thought that book was phenomenal. And although I love Goodreads and Amazon for the recommendations they give, I find that they become like very, very genre based. They keep feeding like down the same pathway. So for me, A Gentleman in Moscow.
Okay. For me, this was a no-brainer. It was like such an easy call. Like, it was instantly in my brain. All right. I loved Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. I think I called it early in the year. Like, I knew this was going to be one. And I only added 3 books to my top books this year. That one, Thank You for Arguing, I added by Heinrichs. And the only fiction book that I added to my top books, so if we were doing 2, the only fiction book that I added to my top books was Project Hail Mary. So I just thoroughly enjoyed it.
I even went out and bought the physical copy because I wanted it in my library.
I did that with Green Lights as well. I wanted to have it on my shelf, yeah.
Yeah, we're reading Will Smith at the moment with the kids. Also, really interesting. Really interesting.
Is that
Awesome.
an autobiography, Eleanor?
Yeah, it's his autobiography, Being Will.
Wow. Okay.
Really, really good read.
Rad.
I
V.
just wanted to quickly add, Richard, I'm busy reading that Lincoln Highway, which is by the same author as The Gentleman in Moscow. And so far, I'm only about 15% through it, but so far I'm loving it. I'll let you know once I'm done.
Cool.
Yeah, I feel like that was also one of my top books, maybe last year or the year before. I absolutely loved it. So I'm dead keen. In fact, I always get nervous. I don't know if any of you could do that. Do you get nervous when it's a next book by an author you love? You're almost like, shit, I don't want to do this. Like, I just want to remember this as being phenomenal. You get scared. It's that sophomore problem.
It's actually why I put off reading Project Hail Mary, because I enjoyed The Martian so much. I was like, I'm not sure he's going to be able to replicate it, right?
I read
Especially
Artemis
Martian was
in
so
between.
crowdsourced. If you read about how he wrote The Martian, you know, it started off as like a web page where he was just publishing and he was getting all this feedback, you know, and all the science and all that type of stuff. So it was like very much almost like a collaborative story, The Martian. So I was like, oh shit, I'm not sure he's going to be able to pull it off again, you know, writing as a traditional author. But
his TEDx talk is actually quite interesting. It's not a brilliant talk from the point of view of you're going to walk away learning stuff, but it's a great talk if you are a fan of the books, because he explains that whole backstory and things and how he got through it and what happened.
Okay.
Have you read Artemis yet? His second book?
No.
So that what is nice is Artemis kind of was a completely different style of book, because Project Hail Mary and The Martian are very similar.
Yeah.
Whereas Artemis is a very different style book. So I'd almost recommend that it's a really nice buffer in between, because otherwise those two books may feel a little bit samey. But having that break between, and I loved Artemis as well, but it was maybe like a high 4-star instead of a, 5.5 star kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I would say have a wee break, have Artemis, and then go into Project Hail Mary.
Yeah, I do. To
Or
be
the other
honest,
way around for you.
Project Hail Mary now.
Oh,
I
right.
think I read The Martian kind of when it came out, so it's I've had a nice solid break already.
Yeah.
But I'll stick Artemis on the list as well.
V?
So the problem with going last is that everybody's stolen your books already. Yeah, so Project Hail Mary, hands down, Green Lights as well. And then the other nonfiction was The Surrender Experiment, which I thoroughly enjoyed.
What was the story of that? What was
The
the basic
surrender-
premise?
The Surrender Experiment is about a guy who kind of spends his young adult life going into older life, minimizing more and more and more of what he has, and making his life as simple as he possibly can, and starts meditating quite extensively, and the changes that happen in his life because of it.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was really good. It's by Michael Singer.
I think
stick a
he's the
good
same
link
guy
in
who
the
wrote The
chat.
Untethered Soul, isn't that?
Yes,
Mm,
Okay.
yes, it's the same guy.
okay, nice.
Does
And
Laura
for
Two
the
good
month
ones
now.
for December.
Is Laura just there as a passenger, or does she not go?
I
don't
think
think
Laura
Laura-
just logs
Laura
in to
mentioned
create the
she's-
room and then
Yeah.
pops off.
I just wanted to ask, I think I'm the only one in this group that hasn't read Project Hail Mary, because I can't picture myself reading science fiction. Am
No,
I
neither
being
could I,
saluted?
Josh.
Eh?
We don't read
I
ourselves.
know.
I also haven't read it, Josh. Don't
You
feel
have
bad.
to, but a lot of people who I've recommended it to only get into it after the halfway point, especially if it's not your normal genre.
Okay.
You could also make a case for saying that it's not actually science fiction. I know this is going to sound crazy, right? But it's actually very near future, theoretically, of like how we would solve a specific problem. So it's, if you think of like a meteor coming to hit the planet and we've got to blow it up, that, if you have to go into space, does that make it science fiction or not? So it's actually just like a great thriller, but with a lot of it's actually more science than science fiction almost. Like it's a really good sciencey book. It's not like
space
Star
opera.
Wars.
It's
Yeah,
not like
space
yeah.
opera, exactly.
No.
Okay. There's not like dragons eating each other.
No,
Okay, first of all, that is fantasy.
Dragons don't
That
live in
is-
science fiction.
that's
Come
a
on,
very
Josh,
different
get your
genre.
stuff.
Okay, I'm learning. I promise I'll read it before the end of the year.
I'm not sure if you do Audible at all, but it's a
Okay.
really well done Audible. It's a well produced.
I think
well
I'll do
read
I'll do
narration.
the I'll do
very
the
cool.
Audible because it's completely out of my comfort zone. So yeah.
Okay, cool.
Have you
Thanks,
guys
guys.
just, and this is a while ago, but just on Audible, and it's probably my favorite Audible book of all time. It's called A Man Called Ove.
Man.
But
Yes, I've read
Everybody
it.
I've recommended that book to who read it was like, it was okay. I liked it well enough. It was a bit long, but everybody who actually listened to the Audible, and I know they've now got a new narrator, but it was so good in Audible. It was like a masterclass in how to narrate a book for me.
How do you spell Ove?
I'm going to paste the link for you right now. I'll paste the link to the
Oh,
Audible
Frederick-
in the
Frederick Backman.
Bachman.
Mm.
Yeah. Can
Because
you
he's
see who the
written a few
narrator is
after
there?
that, hey?
Yeah.
Mm.
There's
Yeah,
actually
I
more
try
than
to
one.
read the physical. Sorry, Arnold.
No?
On Audible, there's more than one. So you must tell us which one to get.
Yes. So the one you want, I'm trying to find. Oh, what's his name?
Is it Frederick Backman?
Yeah,
Mm.
there's
Frederick
one that's
Backman is
got
the
much more
author.
recommendations than any other.
Can you see the narrator for me? It's the actor. It's not John Walker. It's not Joan Walker. That's the lady. That's the only one I can see actually on my Audible, which is funny. Man, I just finished a book.
Joan
with that
Walker,
author.
yeah, Joan Walker, that's the one I can see.
No, it's not that one. That's a pity.
Oh.
The other one must be down. It's by that quite famous actor.
Okay, well, send us the right link
yeah.
so that we know which one.
I will do. Now, before we lose Helen, well, let's just chat about maybe the task for next month. Last month was a bit of a throw up. It was between the travel books and who we went with, which I'd love to discuss. And we're going to get to Helen's choice before we lose her as well. This month
we
we
at 9. Sorry, Rich.
cool, no problem. Biographies. I always find this a nice thing to read going into a holiday. It feels like holidays feel like a nice time to do it. My goal is to read Shoe Dog because I've never read it and people just tell me it's absolutely brilliant. I've just never been, Nike's not a brand I, have any passion for, but I've heard just regardless, it's just an absolutely phenomenal book. And right now I'm busy
the
with
guy,
Billy
the
Connolly's.
author, he reads it on Audible.
Yeah.
That Phil Knight or whatever his name is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I actually
loved
bought the book after the Audible. It's actually a great read.
Yeah.
Autobiographies or biographies as well.
I feel like you can take your pick, I guess, autobiography or biography. I'm doing at the moment, and it's actually one of these weird things. I'm listening to Billy Connolly's autobiography read by Billy Connolly, but actually because he's aged so much, I'm actually finding listening to it quite depressing because his comedy timing is gone and he's just dragging on a wee bit and everything he says. I almost wish I'd read it in young Billy Connolly's voice, with that wig Scottish lilting growing and things like this. And so I'm actually having remorse, that I'd listened to it. I would have rather, which may be unfair, but I think I would have enjoyed it more if I'd read it.
So do we choose our own biography? Is that the idea?
I think so. I'm not sure. Helen, do you have any thoughts on that? I would think so, that we pick a biography as a nice genre. Because I think it's quite uniquely, you've got to be connected. I feel like biographies are somebody you give a shit about, generally. Unless, who's not read Shoe Dog out of interest, or have you all read it?
No, I haven't read it. I'm not a big fan of biography generally, but happy to try it.
A fun biography for me that I loved, I'd recommend. But again, only if you like him. But I Am Jackie Chan by Jackie Chan. It's the autobiography. What a crazy life, and like how he broke into Hollywood. And if you even like him at all, I grew up with Jackie Chan movies. Hearing that how he broke in and what he did, it was just amazing. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. It was so fun. Made me want to watch Kung Fu movies.
Yeah, that's cool. I think I've got a ton of biographies on my list, actually. So I've got a lot to choose from.
I'm busy reading the I can't think of it's an autobiography of the CEO of Pepsi, that Indian woman, which is very interesting. From a PepsiCo. She's just left. Very interesting leadership lessons.
Yeah, we're doing Being Well as our December finish read.
I think Open by Andre Agassi is a really cool
Yes.
autobiography for anyone.
Oh yeah, maybe I'll do that one. I've heard good things about it. Have you read it, Rich?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the
really-
best autobiographies.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Very,
He lives
very,
down the road here. He's got a house about a kilometer from me, him and Steffi Graf.
really?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
you know, on the hill coming up, if you know Cape Town, coming up to Big Bay, coming up where past Doodles.
Yeah.
And if you pass Doodles and if you're coming up towards the Blue Pizza kind of thing,
Yeah.
as you're driving up that big hill, if you look on the right, there's one big house. You're like, if there was a house that Agassi would own and Steffi Graf, which one would it be? You're probably right. It's that one.
Okay. Okay, cool. Otherwise, Ben Franklin is the Walter Isaacson biography is quite an interesting biography if you're into kind of like historical figures. And he's an incredible guy who did an enormous amount for one lifetime. It feels like 25 biographies in one. You know, if you look at what Ben Franklin was able to achieve in the time he was alive. So that's another one that I'd.
Rich, was it very readable? I found I quit on Da Vinci because it just got so in the weeds in the middle that I just couldn't get
It's
through
a bit of a tone, right? So you have to be kind of committed. Like I'd say Open is a magnificently readable biography. It's a real page turner. Like I think Walter Isaacson, just the way he writes, he does so much research and gets really, really into the weeds. But it is it's a hell of an interesting story. I mean, it's like, it feels like completely fictional for the, for the amount that he was able to achieve. I enjoyed it, but it's not like an easy read. It's not a page turner.
Does anyone know who won the FT McKinsey Business Book of the Year? Because I think they announced it yesterday.
I'll have a look.
Because I always find that shortlist really good. And they've often, the new Walter Isaacson, that one about the, I think the woman code breaker or whoever she is.
I can just see the short list and the long list. So I'm not sure.
Because I'm sure that I heard the 1st of December they were announcing it.
Sobering analysis of cyber weapons arms race.
Is that the one that won?
Yep, that's This Is How They Tell Me the World Ends is the name of the book.
Wow, that sounds very inspiring.
Nicole Perlroth, a sobering investigation into the cyber weapons arms race, which is, I don't know if any of you know the story of that, I think it was called the Styx worm, where the Iranian nuclear enrichment thing was kind of cyber warfare by the Israeli security agency. It's a fascinating story, but yeah, I don't know. This is I'll put a link to it on the group.
Awesome. Before we lose Helen and Elle, I'm not sure because you got last month's thing. Helen, your travel book.
Yeah. So I'm a bit behind on travel. I'm traveling on Saturday. So I've got Bill Bryson loaded. So we're going to be listening to Bill Bryson on Audible on our first road trip. The fortune teller told me I kind of started it, and I mean, it's readable. It wasn't, I didn't think it was amazing. I haven't finished it yet. In between, I felt like I'm in holiday mode. So like I read Dion Mayer in a day, the new one, which I just loved. And that the Hillary Clinton, the secretary one, which I also thought was brilliant. So I'm kind of in a very like light mode. I'm not wanting anything heavy. And Richard, I saw your comments on Goodreads about it. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, like I quite liked, his descriptions of Asia and that kind of thing. It felt so condescending and patriarchal. His whole take on like, the modernization's ruining Asia, and Asia you know, it should still be temples and monks, and you know, like I felt, I don't know, the kind of my overarching feeling about it. And I think once that was in my head, I just kept seeing it over and over and over. It felt like it was very condescending, you know, like, and that just irritated me to the point where I was like, no, I'm gonna abandon ship and get on to the next book.
What did everyone else think?
I didn't try that one. So
I've gone down a completely different rabbit hole this month.
And what's your rabbit hole?
So I'm a bit of a fantasy fan, and there's this series on Prime Video called The Wheel of Time.
Good kind. Good. What's his name? Good kind.
No, it's a different author. Yeah.
Terry.
Isn't it that like 12-book kind of series?
It's a long. I think it's about 20 books. The guy died, and then his son actually finished the series.
And Brandon Sanderson, right? Also,
that's the one. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's on Prime Video. There are four episodes that are on, and if you want to go down a mindless rabbit hole, that's fun. I recommend it. So I've started reading the book series, and I think it's going to keep me busy probably for the next year. So
amazing.
It's fantasy, so it's very specific. You have to like it.
Yeah, Robert Jordan. That's who it was. Yeah. I read The Wheel of Time when I was very young, the original one. I would have to start it again to, like in my, probably in my teens. I'd have to read it again to get back on the loop.
So before I started
pre-arthritis days.
Yeah. I find it so intimidating to start a book like that when it's part of one of those series, because I just look at like, you know, the commitment involved in having to, if I like it, now do I feel like I have to finish the entire series, that I'm in for a 20-book commitment.
It's such escapism though. I mean, it's like, it's so different from real life. So it's just a nice thing when you're stressed or you need a bit of a diversion, you know?
Yeah.
My son is starting to read Magician. He's made it his goal by his 19th birthday. He wants to read The Magician by Raymond D. Feist. And I've already read that twice, and I've read the graphic novel, but I'm excited. I said, cool, I'll do it with you. So we're going to go through, and we've worked out for his birthday. He's got to smash 12 pages a day in order to make it by his birthday. And so I'm like really looking forward. And that's the beginning. Like I reckon my series on those books is probably, I don't know, 2 meters. Like if you put all the books in the series next to each other, and the idea of getting back into it again is actually quite exciting for me.
Yeah.
But I did do a travel book, and I'm actually kind of enjoying it. I'll let you know exactly when I finish, and it's called Mad Travelers. And it was interesting for me. It's because it's one part about travel, but it's also about these guys who are obsessed. They're called country collectors. Have any of you heard of them?
No.
They basically are part of their hobby, and their passion is seeing how many countries they can visit. And there's all these rankings and lists of who is visited, who is the world's most traveled person. And there's the story is of a con man who's actually tried to take a bit of advantage of them and things like this. And I don't know exactly how it all unfolds, but when I was looking for a book in the travel genre to work through, I found this one. I thought, oh, it's got that Ben Mesrick fiction fact mix up thing, and it was pretty cool. So I'm actually going to join that. It's a bit light, but it's cool.
And I've got to duck off now. Can we quickly set the new date for January?
I mean, we've gone through in a lot of time, so we can see if there's anything else to chat about, but we'll probably end up calling it a little bit early today as well. January dates, what works for everybody?
Pretty open, pretty available.
13th?
What about
what day do we want to do? Sorry, Helen?
what about the Wednesday, the 12th of January? Is that too early?
It works for me.
Fine with me.
That's not good for me now.
Perfect.
Yes.
Shall we say Wednesday, the 12th at 8:30?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, fabulous. Okay, guys, stay safe and have a lovely rest, everyone.
Cheers,
And
Helen.
post,
Okay.
post reviews
care.
on the
Bye.
book group.
Cheers, everyone. A good festive
Cheers,
season.
Cheers.
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 Bye.
Okay, so,
Sorry, what's that, Joss?
so what are
No,
we
I said
reading?
we just keep each other updated on WhatsApp in terms of on our WhatsApp groups if we read any good books over the holidays.
Yeah, I enjoy seeing this stuff in the middle of the month as well. And also, even when people aren't enjoying, like I saw Richard's review of that other book, and I was like, I was already kind of on the fence, so that made a decision easy for me.
Exactly.
Arnold, are you saying what are we reading this month? Did you ask what are we reading this month?
Yeah. So the theme is kind of biography or autobiography, right?
Yes.
Actually-
Biography or autobiography, and I think you could do the Agassi one. I'm not sure we
Yeah,
all
I've-
have to do the same one.
I've heard good things
Rich?
about it. Although I'm just warning everyone, I'm probably going to be stuck in Wheel of Time.
I just finished Sia Khaleesi's book, which I thought was,
Oh, wow.
as a Springbok fan and like a kind of proudly South African, I loved it. It's not like the deepest or the best written thing, but I really enjoyed the story, and like as a South African success story and like something that's heartwarming and gives you cause for optimism and stuff like that, I recommend it for sure. I thought it was a great read.
I previously read Cornet Crickers, it's the only South African rugby one. And it's funny for me, I feel like it's interesting. Normally you do a biography at the end of your career. But I think if you're in, something like this, you have to, it's weird, like, because it feels a bit early in the story arc for a biography, but I think you've got to strike while the iron, while your star is shining.
Yes.
And yeah, makes a lot of sense. Any other good reads from this month? Because that's the one thing we did skip over on this. Anything else that we read other than the set work? And I wanted to ask Arnold, I mentioned this before, but do you never find, I never read the same genre twice in a row, and I never read the same author twice in a row because I get too tired of the writing style. Would you not want, after you do Wheel of Time, would you not want to take a break, or do you prefer to stay in the universe and just?
I mean, if I go back to being a child, I love getting immersed in a series. It's just so escapist and, just such a wonderful departure from reality. So I quite enjoy that if I can find it. So I'm hoping Wheel of Time turns into that. But my main style, the main thing I read is actually periodicals. I read The New Yorker and The New Scientist. So I read short things in between. I don't read, I find it very difficult to get into a book because I get tired at night. So I normally read one article before bed rather than a book. So I'm hoping that I get into Wheel of Time. And it goes in phases, November, I don't know what you guys were like, but I mean, November for me has been absolutely mind-numbingly like work and shit going down. And hopefully December will be different.
So I took up Rich's idea of setting up a library, and I set that up at home, and it's great. But the one issue is I'm spending about like 7 hours more on the toilet a week than I was before.
I love my library. I've got 3 different library books in the 3 different bathrooms. So wherever I go, and every one of them has a book and a highlighter. And I sit down, I enjoy myself, I work through it. And it's funny though, once I commit to starting a book in the library, I never take it off. Like even if I'm dying to finish it, then I just gotta go and have a curry because there's no way I'm not allowed to take that book from there. This book for this month for me was the slowest reading month of the year by far. Like I think I read 4 books. And you know what it was? And I don't know if you've ever experienced this. I got stuck in one book that was just so, I was reading like 5 pages at a time, then falling asleep. And I was reading it because my daughter wanted to watch the anime with me. And so I said, cool, I'll finish the book so that we can sit down and watch the anime. And it just ended up reading became a chore, which was weird. But one book I did enjoy, kind of a biography as well, but it would really be, you'd have to like it. This stuff is The Making of a Miracle. There was a movie called Miracle. I don't know if any of you saw it. It was about the US Olympic team beating the Russian hockey team in the 1980s. And this was just the captain's biography, and it was amazing. I've seen the movie, heard about the story. I'm obviously a diehard hockey fan. And then one other book I want to recommend. You know, I do my craft hour where every morning from 9 to 10, I read a book to do with my craft. I read a book this month called The 3-Minute Rule. Say less to get more from any pitch or presentation. And there's a couple of little times, like his war with PowerPoint, I thought was ridiculous. Like, it didn't make sense. But his thinking around getting to what is important in your business to pitch it, I thought was absolutely excellent. Like, this is all I've done for 25 years, and I went to school while reading it. Like, because his pitching is different. He pitches television shows to networks, and it's cutthroat. And he's got a little formula for pitching it. And there was just so many little insights. So if any of you do pitch, or somebody in your team pitches, and they wanted to get an interesting perspective, that would be great. If you just want the cheat sheet, how I heard about the book is the Matt Brown podcast. He interviewed the author. And so if you listen to podcasts, I can share that link. If anybody would want to, I can share the link on the WhatsApp group. If any of you would prefer that. But I thought that was excellent. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, please share it. I'm actually in the middle of a book that I'm enjoying a hell of a lot. That probably qualifies for the biography thing as well. And that's the story is called The Spy and the Traitor, the greatest espionage story of the Cold War. And basically it's about a KGB agent who becomes disillusioned with the way the Soviet Union's going. And he makes a conscious decision to become an informant to the West. And whilst working as a KGB agent in Denmark, he essentially establishes a relationship with MI6. And it's the whole story, like the true story of essentially a double agent in the KGB. And it's a hell of an interesting story.
Wow, awesome. I love those. I just finished that agent, what's her name? Agent Sophia, the double agent story I read earlier this year. The KGB double agent who actually lived in the UK is it was incredible.
Was she the one that fell in love with the Russian guy, and then the KGB recruited her?
Yeah, but she was German in this case, and she went away. What was her name? I'm trying to see it in my list here. But it was also rad. I love that there's so much cool stories. Oh, another biography I'm just seeing going through it that I read this year was Yearbook by Seth Rogen, the actor. But you have to listen to it on Audible. You're not doing it for anything other than the laughs. When he describes his taking of mushrooms, or when he got his father-in-law onto psychedelics at a pizza restaurant, it's worth it just for that story. Yeah. Agent Sonia, Moscow's most daring wartime spy.
Yes.
It's Ben McIntyre. Is that the same author? Because he kind of seems to dominate that spy genre.
I think it is actually Ben McIntyre. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. The Spy and the Traitor. Yeah, that's his new one. So 4 books ago. Oh no, not really. 2020. His last book was Agent Sonia.
Okay.
Oh, that's his more recent book. Sorry, your one was from 2018. Sonia was from 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've started quite an interesting one. I'm probably about halfway through it, which I'm quite enjoying. It's called The Life We Bury, and it's by Alan Eskins. And it's about this high school student that has to interview an elderly person and kind of write about their life. And he's got quite a difficult household background, but he ends up finding a guy that has been released from prison. He's a convict, and he's been released into an old age home because he's terminal. And so like he starts interviewing this guy to hear his backstory, and I'm quite enjoying it so far. I haven't finished it, so I'll let you know how it goes. But yeah, it's
Awesome.
been quite cool.
All right, Joss, have you had any in the last month that have been worth a mention?
Yeah, I think Richard, I posted on the group that book, The Girl with the Louding Voice, was also a book that
Oh,
I
yes, I've
hesitated
added it to my
to
list.
read. Yeah, and
That was
so I
amazing.
did think of you, Richard. I was worried that you might not like the style of reading from your comments that you had made from another book, but it's written like in the vernacular of a Nigerian woman whose English is poor, but it's so the English is like really bad, which is quite interesting, but you still follow the story, and you see how, I don't want to give too much away, but how the style of writing changes as the story changes, and she
Oh, that's so
kind of
cool.
learns to speak English. It's really interesting, and the actual story is very moving as well.
I listened to it on
If
Audible.
you've read oh
Sorry,
yes, that
I
must have
listened to
been
it on
interesting.
Audible, and it's beautiful because her accent comes through so amazingly. You just get completely immersed in her character because it's broken English, but in that Nigerian accent. It was stunning to listen to.
Oh, that sounds like a
Yeah, when I
great
was
idea.
reading it, I was trying to imagine a Nigerian accent, which was really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I saw that, and
My
I really want to try that.
My want to read list on Goodreads is getting long. Thanks to you guys.
Yeah, it is a long list, but no, this is my reading time coming up now. Like, I actually get excited about it. I just bought the new Ken Follett, which I'm like, I see it every day on my Kindle. It's sitting there. It's been delivered, and I keep wanting to stop what I'm reading just to start it, but that feels like, no, that's the first day of holiday. Like, that's my treat. That's come down, pick that up, and just go into that. So I'm really excited about that.
Is it part of the Pillars of the Earth? That same kind of series?
No. It's actually amazing. So in his previous series about the spanning the 3 world wars, Fall of Giants, he said when he was researching that, basically in World War I, nobody wanted to go to war. So nobody wanted it. Like, it just should not have happened. But fuck up after fuck up after fuck up meant that eventually everyone was like, well, there's nothing we can do yet. We're all stuck here in the middle of this boxing when we've just got to start punching each other. And that's what happened. Like, there was a war that nobody wanted, and poor decisions led to it happening, and millions upon millions died. And he said, well, that happened before. Could it happen again now that we have bigger toys? And that the book is written around this premise. So it's a coming together of different political stances and things that could happen, that could lead to, I guess, I mean, I don't know because I've not read the book yet, but like a 3rd World War or something. So he's saying if what happened, the unraveling before World War I happened again today, how would that play out? Which to me as a premise just sounds like, yes, this is totally up my alley. It's called Never, I think, Never.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about that. That's my holiday gift to myself.
Okay, cool.
I just want to say an interesting thing. You guys talk about audiobooks. I started recording my audiobook yesterday. I read 12 chapters, spent the whole half day doing it. I did not record a single word. I was distraught. I was like, come on. I'd pushed the wrong setting or the wrong button, and the microphone wasn't selected. And so it didn't record a single thing. It was like soul destroying. So that was my big reading frustration. But it's also my last big thing that I have to get through this side of the year. And then I think my brain is checking out.
Richard, I just put. I was losing signal. I seem to recall that you were trying to find the author of that, a man called Ove, which I've just posted on the group. It's that Frederick Backman. I've read a number of his books, and there's a 2-book series about a hockey team in Canada. So you might enjoy it, Richard. I don't know if you've read them. I think the one is called Us. I think it's. I'll get the names of the two books. I loved it. It's also, it's like real light reading, but like so well written. And you should ideally read the book one after the other. I'll post those on the group as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. The name I was trying to remember was and it just came to me as you said that, was the actor, but I'm dying to read that. That sounds like, as I love his writing style and I love hockey, so I'll definitely read it. The name I was trying to remember was George Newbern. He's the audiobook narrator. And I read listened to probably the last audiobook I read was narrated by him. And he's just so good because he's a professional actor and he just gets it. I've posted him in the link in the book, in the chat, and you'll recognize his face when you see it. He's been in like a lot of things. But I would love to read that. I'm actually going to Goodreads now to see if I can.
Rich, I can't. Will you please send me the link to Audible, because there are 3 Audible books called A Man Called Over. None of them have that name as the narrator.
I've just put it on the group.
What's
It's
happened.
Frederick.
Yep.
Sorry, it's Frederick Bachman.
No, that's the author. So
Yes.
but
We're saying the narrator.
Audible as well.
Oh, sorry. I misread. I misheard you.
Is it Beartown? Is that
Yeah.
the oh, amazing.
Beartown you must read before you read Us Against You. So Us Against You is like the sequel.
Okay, I'll definitely read that. Can't wait. Feels like a Mystery Alaska type thing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like about sports and a team that like 2 teams of young ice hockey boys, and something happens, and yeah, it's really cool.
One of my all-time favorite books, and I hesitate to recommend it to people because it is ice hockey. However, ice hockey is the framing of the book. You know, just like I like spy books, but I'm not a spy. And it's called Ice Time, A Tale of Fathers, Sons, and Hometown Heroes. And it's just this story of a relationship between a father and a son and the common bond that they have. And I read it in 2003. I think I need to, 2003 and 2010. I think I'm due another go at it. I just absolutely loved it. All right, guys, if I can give everybody 12 minutes back on their day, I think that's always good. So thanks so much, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful chat. And I think this is definitely in the holiday season, there'll be lots of reading. If you want to grow your Goodreads, maybe instead of just posting the reviews, just once you've done a Goodreads review of something, pop the Goodreads review in the WhatsApp chat, so that then even people who've not connected to you can go over and connect to you. We do also have this book club actually has a Goodreads reading list, but I don't really understand how it works. I'm not sure what happens there, but yeah. Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Everyone.
Thanks for all the
Yes,
Take it easy.
recommendations.